Welcome back. This week, we're diving into the second week of World War II, September 11th to the 17th, 1939.
A pivotal week indeed.
If you recall from last week, we saw the German invasion of Poland, the declarations of war from Britain and France.
Yes.
And the beginning of the Saar Offensive. That was the French attempt to devote German forces away from Poland. But this week really shows us something. The reality of the German blitzkrieg.
Yes.
And the complex, sometimes hesitant international response.
Absolutely. It's a week where we see the limits of Polish resistance, the very cautious approach of the Allies, and this ominous presence of the Soviet Union on the horizon.
Right. So let's start our deep dive on Monday, September 11th. The situation in Warsaw is becoming increasingly dire. The city's under constant bombardment.
Yeah.
Heavy bombardment from the Germans.
Yeah.
And, well, civilian casualties are mounting, supplies are dwindling.
You know, the targeting of Warsaw, this was a bustling city.
Right.
Full of life and culture. And it underscores the nature of modern warfare. It wasn't just a military target.
Oh.
The German attacks, they indiscriminately hit civilian infrastructure.
Right.
And the people, of course, leading to this growing humanitarian crisis.
Amidst this despair, though, there are glimmers of Polish resistance.
There are.
At the Battle of the Bzura, west of Warsaw, Polish forces are initially holding back the German.
Yeah.
And further south at Warsaw, the Polish army is managing to delay the German advance.
These acts of resistance, I think, they're testaments to the bravery and determination of the Polish soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, they face this larger, better equipped enemy.
Right.
But they fought this delaying action, buying precious time for retreat.
Yeah.
Though, of course, a retreat that was looking more and more inevitable.
Sadly.
With each passing day.
Now, on the international stage, there's this symbolic act of defiance.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia severs ties with Germany. And while this may not have had a direct military impact, it does show the growing global condemnation
Absolutely.
of the Nazi regime's actions.
This action underscored the moral dimensions of the fight against Nazi aggression.
Yeah.
And it demonstrated that the conflict resonated far beyond Europe.
Yeah.
Even in these early days, I think the world was watching and taking sides.
Yeah. Meanwhile, behind the lines, the German war machine is tightening its grip on occupied Poland.
Yeah.
In Częstochowa, we see a glimpse of the brutality to come as the Nazi regime starts to impose its control.
The occupation of Częstochowa foreshadowed the horrors that would unfold under Nazi rule.
Right.
This systematic persecution of Jews.
Right.
And the Polish intelligentsia,
Yeah.
aimed at crushing any potential resistance, was already starting to take shape.
Back in Berlin, we see Hitler growing frustrated with the Polish counteroffensive at Bzura, his impatience and his belief in the superiority of the German military. Well, this would have some significant consequences later in the week.
Oh, this impatience, coupled with the effectiveness of those blitzkrieg tactics,
Right.
would drive Hitler to take increasingly ruthless actions as the campaign progressed.
And on the Western Front, more British troops are arriving in France, bolstering the British Expeditionary Force.
Yeah.
However, the French military is remaining cautious,
Yeah.
focusing on strengthening their defenses, and it seems hesitant to launch a full-scale offensive.
And this reluctance to engage in a full-blown offensive,
Yeah.
well, it would become a source of growing tension between the Allies, particularly as the situation in Poland deteriorates.
Okay, so moving on to Tuesday, September 12th.
All right.
The Battle of Bzura is starting to turn in Germany's favor as the reinforcements and air power are taking a toll on the Polish defenders.
Uh-huh.
The Polish army suffers losses at Kostin, east of Warsaw.
The Battle of Bzura really highlights a key aspect of the German blitzkrieg. This coordinated use of tanks, infantry, and air power. It created an overwhelming force. That was difficult for the Poles to counter.
It was.
This combined arms approach proved to be devastatingly effective.
Yeah. As Bzura falters, there are still pockets of fierce resistance.
Yeah.
Przeciel and Lwów, key cities in southeastern Poland.
Yeah.
They remain under Polish control, at least for now.
These cities, they were vital strategically, not just for their location, but also for their symbolic importance.
Right.
Holding on to them provided a glimmer of hope for the Polish people.
Yeah.
Demonstrating their will to resist this German onslaught.
Yeah. However, in the north, the vital port city of Gdynia is nearing collapse.
The fall of Gdynia.
Yeah.
It would be a significant blow to the Polish war effort, cutting off their access to the Baltic Sea,
Right.
and further isolating the country. It also demonstrated the power of the German Kriegsmarine, their navy, and their ability to project force along the Polish coast.
On this day, the Anglo-French Supreme War Council, they hold their first meeting.
Right.
And the decision is made against any immediate large-scale action to help Poland, a decision made on strategic considerations.
Yeah.
Given the need to prepare for a long and arduous war.
This decision, I think, though, understandable from a strategic standpoint, it would be met with disappointment.
Of course.
And frustration, particularly in Poland.
Yeah.
The lack of immediate and decisive action underlined the difficult choices facing the Allies.
Right.
In these early days of the war.
And back in Germany, we get a glimpse into the impact of the war on everyday life. The government is restricting car use to conserve resources for the war effort.
Yeah.
A sign of the sacrifices being demanded of the German populace.
This restriction on car use, I think it's just one example of how the war effort was impacting all facets of German society. The mobilization of resources and manpower was already beginning to transform the country.
And here's an intriguing historical footnote. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor.
Ooh, yes.
They returned to England from exile in France. The Duke, of course, had abdicated the throne in 1936.
Yes.
And was known for his controversial pro-German sympathies.
The Duke's return to England,
yeah,
while ostensibly due to safety concerns, it raised questions about his allegiances and motivations.
Yeah.
His presence in the country would be a source of scrutiny and debate throughout the war.
Okay. Now, Wednesday, September 13th.
Yes.
The situation in Warsaw continues to deteriorate. Civilian suffering is increasing as the city endures this relentless bombardment.
The continued attacks on Warsaw, I think they're a grim illustration of the human cost of war.
Yep.
You know, the relentless bombardment and the dwindling supplies created this humanitarian crisis within the city.
Yes.
A situation mirrored, of course, in other Polish cities under attack.
And a new battlefront opens up at Modlin. This is a strategically important fortress near Warsaw.
The Battle of Modlin would become a crucial test of Polish defenses, showcasing their resilience, the tenacity of the Polish soldiers as they fought to protect their homeland. The fortress, a key element in the defense of Warsaw.
Right.
It would become a focal point for the fighting.
Meanwhile, the U-boat threat in the Atlantic, it's escalating. A British trawler, the Devara, is sunk by a German U-boat, marking the escalating naval conflict and highlighting the vulnerability of Allied shipping lanes.
This incident served as a stark reminder of the growing threat posed by German submarine warfare.
Yes.
The U-boats operating in the vast expanse of the Atlantic.
Right.
They would become a major challenge for the Allies throughout the war.
In France, Prime Minister Daladier forms a new war cabinet, signaling a focus on increasing military production. However, there's still no sign of a major offensive on the Western Front.
The French government's cautious approach was driven by several factors. The need to rebuild their military after World War I, the fear of repeating the horrors of trench warfare, and the logistical challenges of mounting a large-scale offensive all played a role in their hesitant approach.
And in a stark contrast to the tragedy unfolding in Europe, Enzo Ferrari founds his now iconic sports car company in Italy.
This event, seemingly unrelated to the war, it highlights the fact that even amidst global conflict, even innovation continued. Okay,
so Thursday, September 14th, brings more losses for Poland. Gdynia, after a valiant but ultimately doomed defense, falls to the Germans.
The capture of Gdynia was a strategic victory for Germany. It solidified their control of the Baltic coastline. And further isolated Poland. This victory also highlighted the effectiveness of the German military's combined arms approach and their ability to conduct amphibious operations.
Przemysl, another key city in southeastern Poland.
Yes.
also falls to the Germans.
The fall of Przemysl,
Yes.
after days of fierce fighting.
Yeah.
It demonstrated the effectiveness of the German blitzkrieg, the Polish defenders,
Right.
though outnumbered and outgunned, fought bravely, but were ultimately unable to withstand the German onslaught.
And the geography of the conflict is constantly shifting. New defensive lines are drawn as battles erupt at Brześć Litewski, Jaworów, and Kobry in eastern Poland.
These battles in eastern Poland were a desperate attempt to hold back the German advance.
Yeah.
Even as the situation grew increasingly dire,
Right.
the Polish forces facing this relentless enemy.
Yeah.
With superior firepower and resources, they were fighting against the odds.
They were. But there's a turning point in the Battle of the Atlantic.
Yes.
The Royal Navy sinks U-39, the first German U-boat lost in the war.
The sinking of U-39 was a significant morale boost
Right.
for the Allies, and it demonstrated their ability to counter the growing U-boat threat.
Yeah.
This victory highlighted the importance of naval power in the conflict and the crucial role of the Royal Navy
Right.
in protecting vital sea lanes.
And back in France, the focus remains on increasing military production.
Yeah.
But there's still reluctance to launch a major offensive.
Right.
A decision that will have strategic implications
Yeah.
for the unfolding war.
The Allies' cautious approach,
Yeah.
while strategically sound in the long term, would have significant consequences for the fate of Poland.
Right.
The delay in launching a major offensive allowed the Germans to concentrate their forces on the Eastern Front. Right.
Giving them a decisive advantage.
Okay. Now, Friday, September 15th,
Right.
brings us back to the besieged city of Warsaw.
Yes.
The situation is devastating.
Right.
Civilian casualties are now exceeding 8,000, a stark indicator of the human toll of this war.
The Siege of Warsaw
Yeah.
is a tragic example
Yep.
of the impact of modern warfare
Yeah.
on civilian populations.
Right.
The relentless bombardment
Yeah.
and the dwindling supplies
Yeah.
created a humanitarian crisis within the city.
Right.
A situation that would become increasingly desperate as the siege continued.
At Brześć Litewski, the fighting is fierce.
Yeah,
And in a sign of growing desperation, we see civilians joining the defense,
right.
determined to resist the German invasion.
The participation of civilians in the defense of Brześć Litewski
Right.
illustrates the widespread determination to resist this German invasion,
Right.
even as the odds stacked against them.
Right. It underscored the national unity and resolve of the Polish people.
Right. Battles continue at Kobry and Jaworów.
Yeah.
But the pressure on Polish forces is mounting as they struggle to hold back the German advance.
The Polish army was fighting on multiple fronts.
Right.
Facing this relentless enemy with superior firepower and resources.
Yeah.
Their valiant efforts
Right.
were testament to their courage and determination, but the situation was becoming increasingly untenable.
Lwów in the southeast
Yeah.
finds itself under siege,
Yeah.
caught between the advancing German forces and a new threat looming in the east.
The situation in Lwów was particularly precarious.
Right.
Caught between the German and Soviet forces, the city faced the prospect of being caught in a pincer movement, a fate that would seal its destiny in the coming days.
We also hear about the Polish submarine Orze, unable to return to a Polish port. It's interned in Estonia, highlighting the challenges faced by the Polish Navy now cut off from home.
The Orze's predicament was a microcosm
Yeah.
of the larger Polish war effort.
Right.
Isolated, outmatched, and facing these difficult choices.
Right.
The Polish forces were struggling to maintain their fight against this powerful and determined enemy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the naval war intensifies. U-boat attacks.
Yeah.
They take their toll on Allied shipping, raising concerns about the vulnerability of supply lines,
Right.
and highlighting the growing challenge posed by the German submarine fleet.
The Battle of the Atlantic was a crucial aspect of the war.
Right.
The U-boat threat would become a major concern for the Allies throughout the conflict.
Right.
As they sought to maintain their supply lines and secure the vital flow of goods and materials across the Atlantic.
Right. And in the United States, the debate over its role in the war continues. Charles
Yeah.
Lindbergh,
Yes.
the famous aviator, delivers a radio address advocating for American neutrality,
Right.
reflecting the strong isolationist sentiment
Yes.
that existed in the United States.
Lindbergh's speech,
Yeah.
it reflects the internal divisions within the United States
Yeah.
regarding the war in Europe.
Yeah.
While some advocated for intervention, others believe that the United States should stay out of the conflict and focus on its own interests.
So as we head into the weekend, the situation is becoming increasingly dire for Poland. The coming days
Yes.
would bring about a dramatic shift in the war,
Yeah.
a shift that would have profound implications for the future of Europe.
Absolutely.
So,
The week ahead
yeah.
holds events that will forever alter the course of the conflict. The balance of power is about to shift, and the world will watch in anticipation and apprehension. So as we head into the weekend of September 16th and 17th, 1939, we really see events that are going to change the landscape of the war and solidify, sadly, the tragic fate of Poland.
Okay. On Saturday, September 16th, Warsaw, despite facing these relentless attacks
Yeah.
and enduring, immense suffering,
Yeah.
it continues to hold out.
Right.
But the human cost is staggering. Civilian casualties are now exceeding 10,000.
The resilience of the Polish people, in the face of such overwhelming odds, it's a testament to their spirit and their determination.
Right.
But the situation in Warsaw, it's becoming increasingly desperate.
Yeah.
Dwindling supplies, mounting casualties, pushing the city to its limits.
At Brześć Litewski, the battle rages on.
Yeah.
Both sides are suffering heavy losses, yet the Polish defenders are putting up fierce resistance, determined to hold their ground.
The defense of Brześć Litewski is a testament to the courage and tenacity of the Polish soldiers.
Yeah.
Facing, a superior enemy force. They're fighting with unwavering bravery, knowing that the fate of their nation hangs in the balance.
And meanwhile, in the southeast, Lwów is on the brink of collapse.
Right.
Supplies are running critically low, and the city's facing attacks from both German and Soviet forces.
Yeah.
Fought in this deadly pincer movement.
Lwow's strategic location made it a prime target for both aggressors.
Right.
Its fall, seemingly inevitable at this point, would be a significant strategic loss for Poland.
Yeah.
Further weakening their already precarious position.
But amidst these setbacks, there's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
For the Polish forces. At War,
okay.
The Polish army successfully repels the German advance, but at a high cost. General Józef Kustro, the first Polish general to die in the conflict, is killed in action.
General Kustro's death was a significant blow to the Polish army.
Yeah.
He was a skilled and respected commander.
Yeah.
And his loss, I think, was deeply felt by the Polish forces.
Yes.
It underscores the sacrifices being made by the Polish people as they fight for their nation's survival.
Further east, a significant event occurs that will have a profound impact on the war. The battles of Kulkengol, fought between the Soviet Union and Japan.
Yes.
Along the Mongolian border.
Right.
Come to an end.
Yeah.
With the decisive Soviet victory.
The Soviet victory at Kulkengol has major implications for the future of the conflict. This victory frees up troops and resources that can be redirected towards Europe, bolstering Soviet strength on the Eastern Front. Additionally, it sends a clear message about the growing military power of the Soviet Union.
Back in the Atlantic, the Battle of the Atlantic continues.
Yeah.
And the Royal Navy achieves another victory.
Yeah.
They successfully sink the German submarine U-27.
Right.
A crucial win in the effort to protect vital Allied shipping lanes.
Yeah, these early successes against the U-boat threat are vital for maintaining Allied morale, and safeguarding the crucial flow of supplies and materials across the Atlantic.
Yeah.
The Battle of the Atlantic will prove to be a long and challenging struggle.
Right.
With the U-boats posing this constant threat to Allied shipping.
Meanwhile, on the Western Front, the French Saar Offensive, which began with a surge of optimism, comes to an end.
Yeah.
It fails to achieve its objectives and serves to highlight the Allies' reluctance to directly engage with Germany.
Yeah.
A strategic decision.
Yeah.
That is that's causing increasing frustration.
Yeah.
And concern.
The Saar Offensive's lack of impact
Right.
would fuel growing criticism of the Allies' cautious approach.
Right.
Many believe that a more decisive action was needed to support Poland and effectively challenge German aggression. However, the Allies, they're facing this complex strategic situation with the need to balance their own preparedness with the urgency of the situation in Poland.
So Sunday, September 17th, 1939, marks a day that will forever alter the course of the war. In a shocking turn of events, the Soviet Union, acting on the secret protocols of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, invades Poland from the east.
The Soviet invasion of Poland is a devastating blow to the beleaguered nation, already struggling against the Germans.
Right.
They now face a two-front war against a powerful new enemy. This act of aggression reveals the duplicity of the Soviet regime, and their willingness to exploit the chaos of war for their own territorial gains.
And faced with this insurmountable challenge, the Polish government, recognizing the dire situation, makes the difficult decision to flee into exile in Romania.
This exodus of the Polish government marks, I think, the effective end of organized resistance in Poland. The country, betrayed by its allies, facing overwhelming odds, is now at the mercy of two totalitarian regimes, the Nazi and Soviet forces, who are poised to divide the nation between them.
And despite the collapse of central authority, pockets of Polish resistance, they continue to fight. Brześć Litewski falls to the Germans, but battles at Kobry and Wow, they persist. Testaments to the unwavering spirit of the Polish soldiers.
These acts of resistance, while ultimately futile, in the face of overwhelming enemy forces, they are, I think, expressions of unwavering courage and patriotism. The Polish soldiers, even in the face of certain defeat, they refuse to surrender their homeland without a fight.
And tragically, in a significant blow to the Allies, the British aircraft carrier HMS Courageous is sunk by a German U-boat in the Atlantic. A stark reminder of the growing threat posed by the German submarine fleet.
The sinking of the Courageous is a major loss for the Royal Navy, and it highlights the vulnerability of even capital ships to the U-boat threat. This incident underscores the crucial importance of the Battle of the Atlantic and the need to protect vital shipping lanes from German attacks.
And halfway across the world, the Battle of Changsha begins in China, expanding the scope of the conflict, and demonstrating the global reach of World War II.
The war in Asia, while geographically separate from the conflict in Europe, it is nonetheless interconnected. The aggression of Japan in Asia mirrors the expansionist ambitions of Nazi Germany in Europe, and both conflicts are fueling the flames of a global war that is rapidly engulfing the world.
The Soviet invasion of Poland sends shockwaves across the international community. The Allies, caught in this delicate strategic situation, condemn the Soviet aggression, but stop short of issuing a formal declaration of war.
The Allies are now facing a complex dilemma. Their moral outrage at the Soviet invasion of Poland is tempered by the strategic reality of the situation. They're hesitant to take any action that could lead to a wider war with the Soviet Union, a conflict that they're ill prepared to fight.
So this week in September 1939, really marks a turning point in the war.
It does.
The fall of Poland, the brutal effectiveness of the German blitzkrieg, the cautious approach of the Allies, and the shocking betrayal of the Soviet Union have all set the stage for a conflict that will engulf the world
Absolutely.
and reshape the geopolitical landscape for decades to come.
The world has entered a new and dangerous era, and an era defined by conflict and uncertainty. The events of this week have shattered the fragile peace that existed in Europe and unleashed forces that will have profound consequences for humanity. Yeah, this second week of World War II, it's really highlighted the shifting alliances, the betrayals that characterized this era, and it's a stark reminder, I think, of the human cost of war and how these global decisions can have these far-reaching consequences.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And even though our deep dive into this particular week is ending, the story's far from over. The events of September 1939, they really set in motion this chain of events that would shape the entire 20th century.
Indeed, the fall of Poland, the division of Europe, the looming threat of a global conflict. These are just the opening chapters in a story that would unfold for years to come. A story filled with triumphs and tragedies, advancements and setbacks.
As we conclude this week's deep dive, I think it's crucial to recognize the scale of the tragedy that unfolded, the invasion of Poland. This wasn't just a military campaign. It was a human catastrophe with lasting consequences for generations.
Absolutely. The decisions made by leaders, the alliances forged, the battles fought, they all had this profound impact on the lives of ordinary people, shaping their destinies and leaving these scars that would take decades to heal.
It's a sobering reminder of the human cost of war. And the responsibility of leaders to strive for peace. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into a truly pivotal week in history.
It was.
We'll be back next time to explore another fascinating chapter from the past.